and welcome to Core Knowledge Part 2, Grades K to 2, the Standards and the Shifts. Please make sure that you can access the handouts, particularly the folder labeled Part 2, in which there are 2 documents you will need during this session. You'll also need your notebook to do some quick writes and to take some notes. Let's begin. Please press pause and quick write to the following question. What do students need to be able to grow and do in terms of literacy by the end of grade 2? Thank you for taking the time to reflect on that. Today's objectives are to understand the role that K-2 plays in a student's success throughout school, as well as to explore the 2 different strands of literacy development students need to progress in grades K-2. First, let's look at some research. We know that K-2 literacy instruction is absolutely critical to student success in literacy over the course of their academic career. Please press pause and see if you can note the similarities between these 4 key research studies. As you can see, 3rd grade proficiency is really indicative of how a student will perform in high school and beyond. Every time I look at these studies, I get chills. The responsibility of you, K-2 teacher, is paramount to ensuring that students stay ahead of that achievement gap that we discussed in session 1. So now I'm going to get you to go to your first handout. Please pause and read the brief released by the Harvard School of Education. And in your notebook, answer the following questions. What distinction is made in K-2 literacy, and why is it important? And what has not changed? What remains vitally important in the K-2 classroom? Once you're done, please press play again, and we'll debrief. Thank you. I'm sure in the brief you noted that there are 2 components of literacy, both skills and knowledge. Note that the focus on skills has not changed. The importance of teaching children to read through systematic, sequential foundational skills is very important. We call these the learning to ride the bike skills. Once students are able to do these skills, you can never take those abilities away from them. However, what has gained renewed attention and focus is the importance of developing rich content knowledge for our youngest readers. Knowledge that creates another type of foundation, a reading foundation of knowledge and vocabulary that helps them comprehend harder texts when they enter grades 3 and beyond. It's likely that you're familiar with the concept of teaching children to read, these foundational skills. But what may be new is that an equally essential focus must be placed on building this knowledge and vocabulary that will serve them later on. The good news here is that research tells us that this is true. We know how students develop in their literacy skills. They need to learn word recognition, phonological awareness, decoding, and sight recognition, but they also need background knowledge, vocabulary, access to literacy knowledge about genres and print concepts, all of this big bundle of language comprehension in order to create skilled readers. We also know through research that students who do not create this rope of literacy skills early continue to flounder. See this quote at the bottom by Hernandez in 2011. Students who do not reach proficiency levels on foundations of reading will need more exposures and experiences quickly. Otherwise, they risk becoming the students reading far below grade level in high school, the ones far less likely to graduate, the ones perpetually caught up in that achievement gap and the Matthew effect that we studied in part 1. Reading comprehension and academic success depend mostly on knowledge-based competencies. We know that skills-based competencies are necessary, but not sufficient. The good news for you, K-2 teacher, is that your curriculum, core knowledge, is based in this research and these two strands. The skills strand, developing the decoding, fluency, and phonological awareness, and the listening and learning strand, building that background knowledge and vocabulary necessary to lead to reading, writing, and speaking and listening on level. Please take a look at this quote directly from the Common Core State Standards. Foundational skills are not an end in and of themselves. Rather, they are necessary and important components of an effective, comprehensive reading program designed to develop proficient readers with the capacity to comprehend texts along a range of types and disciplines. The work of the standards is to incorporate both of these strands, and you can see that in the way the standards are written, addressing literature, informational text, writing, speaking and listening, and foundational skills in K-2, and in many ways, 3 to 5. The Charlotte-L.I.F.T. literacy framework is based in this research, and it underpins Charlotte-L.I.F.'s approach to literacy. Core knowledge was chosen strategically to support the implementation of their literacy goals, as well as to support what we know about good literacy instruction K-2. So please pause and open up the other handout in the Part 2 folder. We'd like you to take the time to read the literacy vision, noting areas where you see different aspects of essential literacy instruction. Please make sure to take notes on this activity, which should take you 10 to 15 minutes, and be prepared to post to some questions on the discussion board. Please pause and press play when you're ready to move on. Thank you. Please submit your responses to the following questions on the discussion board. From your reading of that initial Harvard brief, please describe what distinction is made in K-2 literacy and why is it important? From your work with the framework, what do you see presented as the most important aspects of literacy? And finally, what is inspiring about your role in preparing young students to learn, both to read as well as to build their knowledge and vocabulary, so they can access complex text with increasing independence? From here, we'll dig into the curriculum itself in Part 3. So take a moment to reflect on the shifts, the standards, K-2 instruction, and what you've learned so far. We look forward to seeing you next time.